The big news is that the young gun Mitchell Moses has asked the West Tigers for a release effective immediately. He wants to join the Parramatta Eels and he wants to leave Concord as soon as the Tigers will grant him a release. The West Tigers officially tabled Mitchell a 3-year offer worth $3 million. Now, he has looked at that, he has considered that, but he had already decided at that stage that this next contract for Mitchell is not going to be about money. It's going to be about his football development.
Yeah, the appointment of Ivan Cleary as head coach of the West Tigers was meant to settle things down, but apparently not. PK, what more can you tell us about Mitchell Moses and the Parramatta Eels?
Oh, look, he signed a 3-year deal with Parramatta beginning next year. That won't be announced soon. There's the 10-day cooling off period, which is why West have put nothing official out about Luke Brooks either, because they're in the 10-day cooling off.
So they can basically backflip at the moment.
They can both backflip at the moment on the deals. But what's happened is there was a meeting this morning. Now, as we know, Isaac Moses is the manager for all 4 players off contract at West Tigers. And West, my understanding is, said to Isaac Moses, because of our uncertainty of what the salary cap is going to be next year, because we've been told by the NRL it's going to be 8.3, some believe it's going to be more, they've said to him, we can no longer afford all 4 players. So our priority now is to sign 3 of them. They've got Luke Brooks already signed, so he's committed. The contracts for all 4 have been sitting there for 5 months. So with Luke Brooks signing, they told Isaac Moses the priority now for the next 2 was James Tedesco and Aaron Woods. At that point, I'm not quite sure what Hooper's heard there, but my understanding is that given that was the situation, the Parramatta deal was a no-brainer. He's taken the Parramatta deal, and what they've since said to the West Tigers is, we would like a release immediately. Parramatta believe that they can get him under the salary cap for this season. At that stage, Ivan Cleary has said under no circumstances will he be released this year, but as we sit here now, I think discussions are ongoing.
Really? So they signed Luke Brooks before Mitchell Moses, when to most people that would appear that they've got it around the wrong way. I mean, Paul Crawley, who would you have thought that the West Tigers would go after first?
I said a week ago I thought Luke Brooks would be the one I'd go after, especially Ivan Cleary. I think he can work with him. A couple of years ago, when Luke Brooks first came onto the scene, he was killing it. He was playing strong football. He was taking control of the side. I just think Mitchell Moses' personality gets the better of him. Yeah. It hasn't worked for the 2 of them. Yeah. And I think the Tigers, well, they had to make a choice, and they did.
And Ivan Cleary's adamant that all that early potential we saw in Luke Brooks, that we sort of say, well, he hasn't really kicked on like we hoped he would. Ivan Cleary's adamant that once he begins to work with him, he can get that back again. Now, if you can get Luke Brooks for half the price you're going to get Mitchell Moses...
Great point.
That's the other thing people don't always take into account is how much you've got to spend on the cap.
And it
doesn't, for half as much.
It doesn't surprise me at all that Mitchell Moses has jumped as quick as he has. Like, given that we've now found out the salary cap's going to be 8.3 next year, grab it while you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I was arriving at the point where I believe that Mitchell Moses and Luke Brooks were never going to realise their full potential playing together.
Yeah.
Because they were both developing halves. It was like, without them even knowing, one was holding the other back.
Yeah, they're holding each other back, Ben, because the minute one would come into the game, the other would fall out of it. They didn't have the ability, after all this time together, they still didn't have the ability to really work as a partnership. And that's why their development was not as solid or smooth as what we always thought it would be.
And you say that Ivan Cleary is saying at this point in time that there'll be no change for this year. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they make a deal to get one of the Parramatta forwards.
Yeah.
Like, I'd do that.
Player swap.
Yeah,
because
that's what they need.
They are light on in the pack. And to get some top-end experience, a real big name, to bolster, what's essentially a group of players being carried by Aaron Woods, would that be fair?
Yeah. The other issue too
would
here,
be big for them.
Yeah. The other issue here, though, is the NRL need to get off their backside and really sort out this salary cap, because West, priding themselves now on being a good governance club, are afraid that if they come in and they sign players for add up to a salary cap of say 9.2, 9.3, which is where a lot of clubs think they're going towards, and the NRL sticks solid and it only comes in, even if they budge from 8.3 and take it to 8.8, what ends up happening there is all these clubs are going to have a liability to players they can't afford to keep.
But
because they're over the cap.
We spoke on this show, I reckon, a month ago. It's exactly about that. I'd spoken to recruitment chiefs at different clubs and they'd been assured it was going to be around 9.2, work to that budget. Now it's come in way under.
Yeah.
And this was their great fear all along. Why does it take so long?
Todd Greenberg didn't stake his career on that 9.2 million, did he?
No, he didn't. But you know what? If this is just an amber claim, which is what we believe it is, this is the NRL starting point. The clubs think it's going to be closer to 10, 10 and a half. They're going to meet somewhere in the middle. It is irresponsible, given that livelihoods are at stake here. Players are sitting there, when I'm talking about their contract, players are sitting there trying to work out their financial futures. Clubs need to be responsible in how they spend their money, and if the NRL comes in with this silly figure of 8.3 that they know they're not going to stick to, which if you average that out over 30 players, because this is over 30 players, not 25 now, it basically adds up to a $10,000 pay rise for every player, when at the same time the broadcast deal went up 70%.
You have also told me that there are clubs in the marketplace at the moment being irresponsible on purpose because they know if the NRL tries to pull them in line,
but
they've got them over a barrel.
There's also, Ben, there's clubs out there that have completely signed all their players until the end of 2018. So where do they stand? Even if they've been working at the 9.2, but you hear some clubs are up to 10.5.
Yeah.
So.
All right, when we're in the theme of spending money at the moment, I'm going to throw some names at you because now it would appear that Ivan Cleary has to go and find a 5'8" for Luke Brooks. Here's some of the halves off contract at the end of 2017. Cooper Cronk, we know about. Kieran Foran, of course, is at the Warriors at the moment. But Gareth Widdop and Chad Townsend are the other two names that I've got highlighted.
Yep.
Of that list of players, you're in charge of the West Tigers recruitment. Who do you go after to partner with Brooks in 2018?
I'd go for Gareth Widdop.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I
really would. He's going so good at the moment. He'd suit Luke Brooks as a player. He's a 5'8", Luke Brooks is a halfback. He'd be the one I'd
He's a
go
goal
for.
kicker.
He's a
general play kicker. He's experienced. He's been in the Melbourne Storm system.
I'd still go Kieran Foran.
You would?
I think he's a superstar.
Yeah,
I've got no drama with Gareth Widdop, but Kieran Foran's a superstar. He, again, is a natural 5'8". And I just think that he would be that... He's got a lot of good qualities when he's right. He's got a lot of good qualities that he could impart on Luke Brooks.
But best guess, and it's only going to be a guess, the difference in salary between Kieran Foran and Gareth Widdop, what would you think?
Well, look,
he's going to cost more,
right
isn't he?
Now, Gareth Widdop's earning more than Kieran. So, look, it depends what Kieran does the rest of this season. Kieran, when he went to New Zealand, he went down on a one-year deal and he said he's going to basically go there, going to take a big haircut to go and play there. He's basically coming in on not minimum wage, but minimum wage for a player of his calibre.
Yeah.
And there's no extras in there. And he said he would put himself in the Warriors for 1 year and basically show everybody that he's going to play his way back to the top and then earn back that money that he sacrificed by going
At his best, he's $1 million player.
At his best,
and that's
absolutely.
the problem the Tigers would have trying to sign him because they've also got to get Tedesco into the cap.
Yeah.
They've also got to try and get Aaron Woods.
And Gareth
and you
Widdop,
couldn't have the three of them.
What are we thinking, Gareth Widdop? 700,000?
I think he's asking for about 750.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a big discount on Kieran Foran.
Yeah, it is. But
And it would be a good fit. Now, I want to move this on to the rest of the Big Four, which I think many people have referred to Aaron Woods and James Tedesco as the big two, possibly the two players the West Tigers should have gone after and sorted off the top.
It wasn't a priority, just on that. It wasn't a priority to get Luke Brooks first signed. That's just the way the cards fell. I actually think that what's happened with Luke Brooks and Mitchell Moses is with Cooper Cronk now entering the picture for halves and the salary cap, as Paul just said, coming down, they've decided to move quickly rather than keep themselves.
Okay, so current situation, if Moses goes to Parramatta, Luke Brooks stays, does that mean that the West Tigers are a bigger chance of keeping Woods and Tedesco, or are they still a chance of flying the coop?
The discussion they had this morning was once they signed one of those players with this salary cap situation, their priority, this is what they said to Isaac Moses, their priority was now Tedesco and Woods. They pushed Moses to the side. Now, whether West knew at the time that the Parramatta offer was there or had been taken, I don't know. But they made it clear that these two guys, out of the four, once they had Brooks signed up, who came in and look, all four players have had the contract sitting there for months to sign. We don't know why they haven't done. We assumed it was because of the coach.
Maybe it could have been because of the salary cap too.
Could have been.
Yeah.
We don't know. But once Luke Brooks agreed to put his name on the contract, it then became clear to West Tigers who their priority for the next two signings were.
Are they both must keep, Cross?
Who's that?
Woods and Tedesco?
Look, It depends at what price. Everything has to be at a price now. Like you're talking about an $8.3 million salary cap, not a 9.2. So if Aaron Woods is the talk is it's $900,000 that he wants, can you afford to pay a front rower $900,000?
And you pull back $1 million, and you half back $500,000.
So it depends what they're willing to accept.
There's nearly 20%.
And we know from
salary
experience,
cap
and you've said a couple of times this week, if there's one thing Ivan Cleary is good at, it's valuing players.
Yeah.
And he won't budge. So if they're asking for too much, and perhaps that might have been the case for Mitchell Moses, then they might be given the tough conversation and have to move on. That's what they're going to have to be careful about.